Fish remain in the canals around the now-abandoned Allenville and tell the story of an ignored and abused environment. According to the EPA, fish in the waterways near here have the highest aluminum content of anywhere in metropolitan Phoenix. Due to a long history of agricultural pesticide application, there is an advisory against consuming fish as it may be contaminated with DDT metabolites, toxaphene, dieldrin, and chlordane pesticides. In 1997, carp collected near Allenville contained the second highest aluminum concentration ever recorded in Arizona.
On the other side of town, Tempe Town Lake is stocked with sport fish, including largemouth bass, tilapia, carp, and channel catfish. And the water quality is heavily monitored by the city of Tempe. Art along the bikeways depicts images of the native riverine species that inhabited the area before dams and urbanization changed the ecology of the river. Although you cannot use an urban fishing permit here, Tempe Town Lake provides its own permits for recreational fishing along the river. Unfortunately, this designed ecology isn't always stable. During the winter of 2008, a large number of fish died, creating an unpleasant nuisance for the residents of Tempe. The city of Tempe responded by paying people to remove the carcasses.
The fragments of Allenville lie in stark contrast to the development at Tempe Town Lake. There are no longer any houses in Allenville, though the concrete footprints of a few remain. While cottonwood trees indicate a shift to the riverine from the upland desert, even the river has receded. The nearest waterway is now a channel diverting water from the gravel mine. The channel passes what was once Allenville, providing incidental habitat to aquatic plants and waterfowl. Dump trucks rumble by the ruins on their way to extract gravel upstream. Broken glass, mattresses, ripped pants, toilets, dishes, tires fill the spaces between dusty shrubs and small forbs, brown and brittle in the dry, sandy soils. It is easy to forget, wandering through these sparse and crispy plants, that this is a river floodplain. But this is a desert river starved of its upstream water.
The new high-rises illustrate the blunt disparity between Tempe Town Lake and Allenville. The only broken glass here is delicately pressed into concrete to form inspirational mosaics. Bulldozers foretell the construction of future high-rises rather than the destruction of mobile homes. There is no brown, only green. Along the lake, lines of poetry are inscribed in the walls. Well-watered grass lines paved trails, punctuated by bright green trees and benches. It's hard to remember sitting on the grass under the shade of a cottonwood, watching sailboats and ducks on the lake, that this is a desert. Water is everywhere, applied with abandon.
Neighboring Allenville and Hopeville, Buckeye continues to grow through land annexations and housing development, while Hopeville is less hopeful. It occupies 75 acres and operates its own water supply, but the immeasurable components of community were somehow lost in the move from Allenville to Hopeville. There are 200 residents, there is one church, there is one community center, there are no restaurants. The houses provided upon relocation are deteriorating. Harold Branch says, "Half the housing stock in Hopeville is stick-built, the other half single-wide mobile homes. The stick-built homes are now more than 20 years old. Most of the mobile homes are even older, having been donated by the Maricopa County Flood Control District. They were built long before the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development set building standards for mobile homes." Dead trees are neatly arranged across a sea of dead grass in the park behind a boarded-up community center. The town is out of compliance with the Arizona Department of Water Resources System Water Plan and annual water use reporting requirements. Their drinking water delivery system has alternatively been condemned by the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality and coveted by the Sundance Development Company, who wanted to divert the supply toward new development projects. Newspaper articles about Allenville and Hopeville are rare, and Hopeville doesn't appear on Google Maps. A Google News Archive search for Hopeville, Arizona yields 19 results. Allenville, Arizona, 33. The average home sale price in Hopeville in 2008 was $46,500.
As a revenue-generating amenity, Tempe Town Lake is heavily advertised. There is a strong effort to convince potential residents that this is where they can find community. The lakefront homes, all completed after 2002, advertise, With hundreds of condominiums planned or already under construction, the residential development surrounding Tempe Town Lake is poised to become the premier address in Arizona. Providing lifestyle choices for almost everyone, Tempe Town Lake offers luxury condos, modern lofts, hip flats, and plenty of sleek high-rises. If there was any doubt that downtown Tempe, Arizona is the ultimate location for urban condos and loft living, then take a look at Tempe Town Lake and its development, and all your doubts will vanish. Distinctly different from the Allenville search, a Google News archive search for Tempe Town Lake yields 4,810 results. The average cost of a condo on Tempe Town Lake is $708,000.
As opposing experiences, Allenville and Tempe Town Lake represent the disparate ways communities interact with the river as both a hazard and an amenity. While tens of millions of dollars have been invested in controlling the river for the recreation of Tempe residents, Allenville families abandon their homes with the hope that they can maintain a sense of community in a new location. Thus, investment in and consequences of engineering the rivers have not occurred uniformly across the metropolis. As infrastructure protected and improved the quality of some communities from social and economic disaster, it caused others to become more vulnerable. As it created recreational opportunities and places to build a sense of community for affluent residents, it failed to protect poor and minority residents who were forced to establish community on the floodplain. As we continue to build new homes and modify the hydrology of the city, we must keep in mind critical questions of who benefits from the wealth of ecosystem services we draw from these rivers and who will be excluded. Who will be vulnerable to the hazards posed by rare but potentially devastating floods? The river and vulnerable people are not reflected in the way we provide water. We are trapped in a pattern of dual forgetting. Allenville was forgotten when it existed and remains forgotten today, just as the natural flow and course of the river remains forgotten by Tempe residents. The abandoned landscape reflects the past history of a marginal town, while Tempe Town Lake continues to shimmer in the Phoenix sun. The dry beds of the Salt and Gila rivers meander through Tempe and the remains of Allenville, and only our memory of what the river once was can remind us of the risk and rewards bestowed by a dynamic desert river.